My name is Daniel. I want to tell you my story. It is not an easy story. There are parts that still hurt when I think about them. But I want to tell it, because maybe you have felt the same way. Maybe you have lost something important. Maybe you have stood in a dark place and could not see any light. I want you to know the light comes back. It always comes back. I worked at the same company for 9 years. 9 years. That is a long time. I started there when I was 24 years old. I was young and nervous and I did not know very much. But I worked hard. Every day I worked hard. I came in early. I stayed late. I learned everything I could. I never said no to extra work. I never complained. My job was in finance. I worked with numbers. Big numbers, small numbers, reports, spreadsheets. Sounds boring. Maybe it was boring. But I was good at it. And being good at something feels nice. It makes you feel safe. After a few years, I got a promotion. Then another one. I had my own office. A small office, but mine. It had a window. I could see the street from my desk. I used to watch people walking below and feel good. I thought, I have made something. I have built something real. I was proud of myself. I think that is important to say. I was proud. Because later, when everything fell apart, that pride made the fall feel even harder. My boss was a man named Mr. Harmon. He was tall and serious. He did not smile very much, but he respected good work. And he respected me. He told me once, "Daniel, you are the best person on this team. Do not ever leave." I remember that day. I was standing in his office. The afternoon sun was coming through the big windows. I felt so happy, so sure about my future. I thought I would work there forever. I thought I was safe. The trouble started slowly, like most trouble does. The company started to change. There was new management. New people came from outside. They wore expensive suits and talked about big plans. They used words I did not always understand. Restructuring, optimization, streamlining. The words sounded important, but something about them made me feel cold inside. Mr. Harmon became quiet. He stopped walking around the office like before. He stayed in his room with the door closed. When I passed his office, I could see him through the glass. He looked tired. He looked worried. I told myself it was nothing. Companies change all the time. I was good at my job. I was safe. I told myself that every day. One morning, my colleague Priya came to my desk. Priya and I had worked together for 6 years. We had lunch together almost every day. She knew my coffee order. I knew her children's names. She sat down next to me. She looked around first. Then she leaned close. "Daniel," she whispered. "Have you heard anything?" "Heard what?" I asked. She looked at her hands. "They are making cuts. Big cuts. In our department." I felt something move in my stomach. Cold, sliding feeling. "Where did you hear that?" She shook her head. "Just be careful," she said. "Just be careful." She went back to her desk. I looked at my screen. The numbers on my spreadsheet blurred. I could not focus. I kept thinking about her words. Be careful. Be careful. But I did not know what to be careful about. I did not know how to protect myself from something I could not see. 2 weeks later, I was called into a meeting room. It was a Tuesday morning. I remember because I had just made coffee. It was still hot in my hand. A woman from the new management team was sitting there. Her name was Ms. Ford. I had spoken to her only once before at a company meeting. She had shaken my hand and smiled and said nothing real. She was not smiling now. "Please sit down, Daniel," she said. "Sit." I put my coffee on the table. My hands felt strange, light and strange. She opened a folder. She looked at some papers. Then she looked at me. "As you may know, the company is going through a significant restructuring process. We are making changes across all departments. Unfortunately, your position has been made redundant." I heard the words. I understood each word separately. I knew what redundant meant. I knew what position meant. I knew what unfortunately meant. But together they did not make sense. "I'm sorry," I said. She looked at me with a calm face. The kind of calm that people practice. The kind that is not real. "We are letting you go, Daniel. Today will be your last day. You will receive your full severance package. HR will explain everything." I looked at the table. There was a scratch on the wood near my coffee cup. I looked at that scratch. I focused on it. Because if I focused on the scratch, I did not have to understand what was happening. 9 years, I said. I did not plan to say it out loud. It just came out. She nodded. "We appreciate everything you have contributed." I stood up. I do not remember deciding to stand. My body just did it. I left my coffee on the table. I walked back to my office. My small office with the window and the view of the street. I stood in the doorway and looked at it. My degrees on the wall. My plant on the corner shelf. A small green plant I had brought from home 3 years ago. A photo of my parents on my desk. A coffee mug that said "Monday is hard." My things. My life. I took the photo of my parents. I took the plant. I put them in my bag. I left everything else. I do not know why. Maybe I thought leaving things behind meant it was not really happening. Maybe I was too shocked to think clearly. Maybe I just wanted to get out before someone saw me cry. I did not say goodbye to Priya. I could not. I knew if I looked at her face, I would fall apart completely. I walked out of the building. The street was normal. People were walking. A bus went past. A woman was laughing on her phone. The sky was gray and ordinary. The world had not changed at all. But I had. Everything had. I sat on a bench outside. My plant was in my lap. I sat there for a long time. I did not call anyone. I did not move. I just sat there and watched the world go by and felt completely, utterly alone. The weeks after that were the hardest of my life. I want to be honest about this. I know people say losing a job is not so bad. You find another one. Life goes on. And yes, that is true. But in those first weeks, it did not feel true. It felt like the floor had disappeared under my feet. It felt like I was falling and could not find anything to hold. Because a job is not just money. I understand that now. A job is your routine. It is where you go every morning. It is the people you see every day. It is how you explain yourself when someone asks, "What do you do?" When I lost my job, I lost all of that. I woke up every morning and had nowhere to go. I made coffee and sat at my kitchen table, and the silence was enormous. The hours were too long. The days had no shape. I applied for new jobs. Of course I did. I sent my resume to many places. I wrote careful cover letters. I checked my email 50 times a day. Some companies replied. Some did not. I went to interviews. I put on my good suit. I smiled and answered questions and said all the right things. But I was not really there. My body was in those interview chairs, but my mind was somewhere else. I was still sitting on that bench outside my old building, holding my plant, trying to understand what had just happened to my life. 3 interviews. 4. 5. No offers came. My friend James called me one evening. James and I had been friends since university. He was the kind of friend who said exactly what he thought. Sometimes this was good. Sometimes it was not what you needed. "How are you?" he asked. "I am fine," I said. The automatic answer. The answer that means nothing. He was quiet for a moment. "Daniel, are you actually fine?" I looked at my kitchen. The plant from my old office was on the windowsill. Some of its leaves were turning yellow. I had forgotten to water it. "No," I said. "I am not fine." "Tell me," he said. So I told him. Everything. The meeting room. Miss Ford and her practiced calm face. The scratch on the table. Walking out with only a plant and a photo. The empty mornings. The interviews that went nowhere. The way I woke up every night at 3 in the morning with my heart beating fast and a feeling in my chest like something was pressing down on it. When I finished talking, James was quiet. Then he said, "Daniel, when is the last time you did something that had nothing to do with work?" I did not understand the question. "What do you mean?" "Something just for you. Not for a job. Not for money. Not for a resume. Just because it made you feel good." I thought about it. I could not remember. "That is your problem," James said. "Not the job. You forgot who you are outside of work." I wanted to argue with him. I wanted to say he was wrong. But I sat there with the phone in my hand and I could not think of one thing. Not one. That I did just for myself. He was right. I had forgotten. I did not act on James's words right away. That is the honest truth. I heard them. I thought about them. Then I put them away in the back of my mind and went back to applying for jobs and feeling sorry for myself. But the words stayed there, quietly waiting. One afternoon, about 6 weeks after losing my job, I was cleaning my flat. I was moving things in my bedroom, and behind my wardrobe, pushed far back against the wall, I found a box. I pulled it out. It was dusty. I opened it. Inside were notebooks, old notebooks from university, and a camera, a small silver film camera that my grandfather had given me when I was 17 years old. He had loved photography. He used to take pictures of everything, trees, people, doors, puddles. He said, "Daniel, the world is full of beautiful things. Most people walk right past them. A camera teaches you to stop and look." I held the camera in my hands. It was cold and heavy. Real. I had not used it in years. Life had gotten busy. Work had gotten busy. There was never time. I sat on my bedroom floor for a long time. I held the camera. I thought about my grandfather. He died when I was 21. I still missed him. I missed his calm voice. I missed the way he looked at ordinary things like they were extraordinary. The next morning I put a film in the camera. My hands remembered how to do it, even after all those years. I put on my coat and I went outside. I did not go anywhere special. I just walked. I walked through my neighborhood. I had lived there for 4 years and I had never really looked at it. I was always too busy going somewhere, too busy arriving. That morning I stopped. I looked at the light coming through the leaves of a tree on my street. How it moved. How it made shadows on the pavement below. I took a photo. I looked at an old man sitting outside a cafe. He was reading a newspaper. His coffee was steaming. He looked completely at peace. I asked if I could take his photo. He looked up. He smiled and said, "Of course." I took it. I looked at a child's red shoe sitting alone in the middle of the pavement. Just one shoe. No child. I wondered about the story behind it. I took a photo. I walked for 2 hours. I took 21 photos. When I got home, my feet were tired, but something inside me was less heavy. Something had lifted, just a little, like a window had been opened in a room that had been closed too long. I developed the film at a small shop near my flat. The man there was older. He had kind eyes behind big glasses. His name was Mr. Osei. He looked at my camera when I brought it in. "A film camera," he said. "Not many people use these now." "My grandfather gave it to me," I said. He nodded slowly. He understood without me saying more. 2 days later I went back for my photos. Mr. Osei put them on the counter. I looked through them slowly, one by one. They were not perfect. Some were too dark. Some were blurry. But the one of the old man at the cafe, that one was something. The light was soft. His face was calm and full of life. The steam from the coffee rose like something alive. It looked like a painting. I held it for a long time. "This is good," Mr. Osei said. He was looking at the photo too. "You have a good eye." I did not know what to say. No one had said anything like that to me in a very long time. People had told me I was good with numbers, good with reports, good at my job. But not this. Not good at seeing something beautiful and capturing it before it disappeared. "Thank you," I said. He looked at me over his glasses. "You should keep doing this," he said. "The world needs more people who look carefully." I kept going out with my camera. Every morning, while I was still applying for jobs. While I was still waking up at 3 in the morning with that weight on my chest. But now there was something else too. Something to get up for. Something that was only mine. I started a small notebook. Every time I took photos, I wrote a few lines about what I had seen. The old man at the cafe. A woman painting her door bright blue. 2 boys arguing about football on a corner. Small moments. Ordinary moments that felt important when you stopped to look at them. One evening Priya called me. I had not spoken to her since the day I left. "Daniel," she said. Her voice was warm. "I have been thinking about you." "I have been thinking about you too," I said. We talked for an hour. She told me she was still at the company. That things were hard there. More cuts had come. Mr. Harmon had finally left. The office did not feel the same. "Honestly," she said, "I think they did you a favor." I laughed. It was the first real laugh I had in weeks. I had not expected it. Came from somewhere genuine. Maybe, I said. How are you really? She asked. I thought about the photos on my kitchen table. The notebook. Mr. Osei's words. The old man at the cafe with his steaming coffee. I think I am finding something, I said. I do not know what it is yet. But I am finding something. 3 months after losing my job, I got a job offer. It was from a good company. Decent salary. Similar work to what I had done before. The safe choice. The sensible choice. I sat with the offer letter for 2 days. My mother called while I was sitting with it. She was excited. She said, Daniel, this is wonderful. You can start your life again. You can be stable again. I knew she meant well. I knew she was happy for me. But when she said the word stable, I felt something strange. A tightening. Like a door closing. Is stability all I want? I thought. Is safe the same as happy? 9 years I had been stable. 9 years in my small office with the window and the scratch on the meeting room table. And one Tuesday morning it was all gone. Stability had not protected me. It had just made me comfortable. Comfortable enough to forget who I was outside of it. I thought about my grandfather, his camera, the way he looked at puddles and saw something worth keeping. I thought about Mr. Osei saying, you have a good eye. I thought about the weight that had been on my chest for months and the way it lifted just a little every morning I went out with my camera. I called the company. I thanked them. I turned down the offer. Then I sat very still in my kitchen. My plant on the windowsill, fully green again, healthy again. I had remembered to water it. My photos spread out on the table. My notebook beside them. I felt scared. I will not pretend I did not. I felt very scared. But underneath the fear, something else. Quiet and small and real. I felt free. I do not have a big ending to tell you. My story is not finished. That is the truth. I am building something now. A small photography project. I take pictures of ordinary people in my city. I write small stories about them in my notebook. A few people have seen my work. A small magazine asked to publish 3 of my photos. It does not pay much, but they are mine. I made them from nothing, from a dusty camera behind a wardrobe and an old man who told me to keep looking. I still have hard days. I still worry about money. I still wake up sometimes in the night and feel the old fear creeping back. But in the mornings I make my coffee. I pick up my camera. I go outside. And the world is full of things worth seeing. It always was. I just forgot to look. Maybe you are reading this and you have lost something too. A job, a dream, a version of your life you thought was permanent. Maybe you are sitting in the silence of an empty morning and it feels like too much. I want to say this to you. What you lost, it was real. Your pain is real. Do not let anyone tell you it is small. It is not small. But you are not only what you lost. You are also what you find next. Look behind your wardrobe. Go through the old boxes. Find the thing you put away because life got busy. The thing that made you feel alive before the world told you to be practical. It is still there. You are still there. Go find yourself again.